Hey guys, what's up? My name's Grant Borland, and today I want to take a look at a new sample library from Spitfire Audio called the Pool Project. And the Pool Project is a library that was made by Oliver Patrice Wader, who works for Spitfire Audio. If you follow any of their stuff, you've probably seen him do like video walkthroughs and certain demos for their products. So he came up with a lot of these sounds. I think it's something that accompanied a new album that he put out, so it's kind of cool that on top of putting out a new album, he's also giving away the sounds that, you know, might have went into the album. The backstory behind the album's kind of cool too. Basically, he was staying at a house with his family, and there was a pool room there, and he got really inspired by like the sound of that pool room and like the reverb, the natural reverb. So, you know, he brought in friends and family members, and they recorded a whole plethora of different sounds and things like that, like vocals, and I think there's like a, was it like a bass clarinet and an alto flute, and then they also did like other cool things, like there's pianos in this, there's like some drum loops, some synthesizers, there's a whole lot of different stuff in there. So basically what I'm gonna do, I've written a short track with this. I've used the Pool Project sample library, and then I've also used some other additional free tools, some of the Spitfire Labs stuff, and then also some of my personal samples, like my sub booms, and then some loops from my sample pack called Induction. So those are kind of sprinkled in there too, but aside from the Pool Project library, everything else is free. And actually this sample library I'm using, the Pool Project, it's $29 right now. It's fairly affordable, and I think it's cool. So why don't we just go ahead, listen to the track real quick, and then I'll kind of break down what I'm using and how I got the sounds. So let's get into it. Pretty cool. There's a lot of cool sounds in there, a lot of cool vocal textures, and I really do like the alto flute and bass clarinet. I think that adds a really nice sound to it. But basically, I started this track out with the free Labs bass guitar, and I kind of did this little you know, that kind of thing. Kind of reminded me of Mogwai a little bit, especially with these higher bass guitars, or the higher notes on the bass guitar. It kind of sounded more of a normal guitar, so I kind of treated it as such. I added some delay, some reverb to it. That kind of sounds like this. You know, it keeps going on, it kind of builds, which is cool, but it really reminded me of like Mogwai or something post-rock. I think this whole track itself kind of has like a dramatic, like Netflix documentary underscore kind of vibe to it, which was cool. So, I mean, really there's not a whole lot of tracks to this, so you get a pretty convincing sound right out of the gate. But let me go ahead, I'm going to solo just the samples I was using from the Pool Project. And if you look up here, I've got some tracks that are muted. Basically, I bounced everything in place from the Pool Project, so that's what these blue tracks are. That's just the audio from the MIDI. The reason I did that is right now in this current version of the sample library, I'm getting like CPU spikes. So I just didn't want there to be any like pops or crackles or whatever when I was playing through that. So that's the only thing, but I'm sure there will be updates for it later, and hopefully that kind of takes care of those issues. But let's just listen to what I've got going on from the Pool Project sample library. There it is. A lot of cool sounds in that. The majority of the track feels like, you know, or that kind of feels like the backbone of the whole track is the sample library, which I wanted to use a lot of sounds from it, you know, from like the synth loops to some of like the drum machine, like kick and snare kind of thing. It's electronic, but it adds a nice flavor. There's like this natural sound of like human voices and instruments, and then there's also like these synths and drum machines, so there's a nice blend of organic and electronic sounds. And for $30, I feel like you can't beat it. Plus you get a piano in there. I don't know if, I'm sure you guys heard the piano. It was pretty cool. I added the, what was it, the Echo Boy by Sound Toys to it, but I just got this cool little... Like, I really like that. I like adding like delays to pianos. It kind of makes them a little bit more rhythmic. So anyways, that's kind of the track. Like I said, I've got some samples down here at the bottom that are my own samples from my personal sample packs, Induction, and then my Sub Boom sample pack, which I recently put out a few videos ago. But let's just go ahead, let's dive into the Pool Project's sample pack itself, or sample library itself, and we'll kind of just take a little deep dive and play around with some of the sounds. So let me pull that up real quick. We've got it open right now. Pretty nice graphic user interface. That's pretty standard for the Spitfire audio stuff. If you've used any of their products, this will probably look pretty familiar. You know, you got your expression, your dynamics, and then you've got this circular knob which controls a few different parameters. If you click on this middle knob, you can control the reverb, delay, attack, release, and then give it distortion too. But let's just keep it on the reverb setting, and let's just play the first patch, which is a vocal trio. Getting a little latency. Let me turn off ozone real quick. Still a little latency. That's okay. We'll make do. So if I open up the different sounds, you know, you've got all these categories. So vocal trio, gentle breeze, which is the alto flute and bass clarinet, which is really cool. This is probably my favorite section in the library. We've got solo voices, pianos, toys, which is like, you know, toy pianos, recorders, harmonicas, just a bunch of interesting, useful things to use. Percussion, which is going to have the drum machine and some different loops and shakers, and then the synths. This is the final part of the final category of the sample library. So there's all these different synth sounds to choose from, which is very nice too. So let me just play through a couple more of these vocal trios. Let's load up the drone, which sounds like this. bit of those CPU spikes. So I am on version 1.0.1. I don't know if it's just my computer or if it's this sample library, but I do get some little pops and clicks right now, which is why I'm bouncing everything in place. Sounds great though. I mean, I'm not using, this is what it sounds like out of the box. I'm not using any external effects. The reverb sounds good. Let's move on to Gentle Breeze. I really love this section. Circular breathing is like my favorite patch in this whole sample library. So I'll let you hear what that sounds like. Amazing. I just like such a cool texture to it. A lot of movement. Let's just load up the next one. Or let's do pulsing swells. I haven't even played through all of these. I was kind of briefly going through them, but then, you know, I just wanted to get the track written. So these are, some of these are kind of new to me as well. Nice tail on that too. Let's move into another section. The solo voice. Let's just do the breathy O's, or ooze. There's definitely a cool vibe to this library. And for 30 bucks, man, I feel like that's a steal. These nanas are kind of cool. Well, I like the nana swells, but let's just hear what the nanas in the solo voice sounds like. That's cool. Something about that gives me kind of like a Jose Gonzalez vibe, or like, you know, the work that he did with Theodore Shapiro on The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. A lot of cool vocal stuff on that soundtrack, and that's like instantly what comes to mind when I hear that. Let's go into the pianos. They've got the double felt piano and the taped piano. We'll start with the double felt. This could be weird with the latency, but I'll just play some pretty open chords. There is that like pedal sound, or there's like that clunking sound underneath it. I wish you had more control over that. I would like to make that a little bit quieter. But you know, with a lot of these like character pianos and these felt pianos, you're gonna get sounds like that. So sometimes, like what I did in my track is I added a lot of delay to it, and so those like deeper, more resonant, thumping sounds sounded cool with the delay on it. It almost made it sound kind of like a piano percussion or something. I don't know. So sometimes that's something to play with. You might get unique results that you would have otherwise never thought of if you were just playing it in a traditional setting. So that's the double felt piano. Let's listen to the tape piano. Not the best piano playing, but I'm just here to show you the tone and kind of what it sounds like. I like the pianos, they're very cool, and I feel like you just get so much in this library for the price. Let's move on to the toys now. Let's start with the harmonica. reminds me of Nils Fromm's, that song, what's it called? I think it's Ross's Harmonium. I think it's off the Spaces album. Or maybe it's on another album too, but I know it's on his album Spaces, which was kind of like a live album. But that's kind of sounds like that tone to me. That's really nice too. The recorder, that's probably self-explanatory, but... It's like elementary band. Move on to the percussion. Drum machine. This is fun. Like really good sounds. Like these kick and snares, I feel like they're really cool. It'd be like really good for like lo-fi music, I think. That's kind of what I was thinking when I was first listening through on these. And I used them in my track. I kind of made them a little bit quieter. I didn't want them to take center stage. I just wanted a little bit more like electronic flavor. So they're there at the end of the piece, like right at the end of the build. But they're cool actually. Let's solo those real quick and you can kind of see how I processed them. Because I did do a little bit of external processing to these, but this is what it sounds like. Simple beat. Next up, the synth loops. This is the final section of the library. Start with Forest Glade. So if you play with that modulation wheel, or I think on this is the dynamic control, if you play with that, you pull it down, it's just going to be the raw synth sound, and as you push it up, you're going to get more of the delay. So you can get cool rhythms if you drive that up. So this is with it all the way down. And then 100%. Then blend it any way you like, fade it in or out, whatever fits the track you're working on. Complex amp burrow. Let's try that. Start at 0 just to get the raw synth sound. Let's do one more. Pollination dance, that sounds fun. There you have it. That is the Pool Project by Spitfire Audio and Oliver Patrice Waiter. $30. Pick it up if it sounds cool to you. I think I'll be using this a lot of useful textures in there. So yeah, pick it up if you think it sounds cool. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.